Well, it's a super cold day. I'm gonna just make an attempt at getting some screws out on this vacuum fuel feed system. I know it's probably a futile attempt, but first I'm just gonna tap on the heads of the screws to see if it might loosen rust in the threads. Broke it off. But now I think if I break them all off like that and get this cover off, then I may be able to put a little nut over them and weld on them to get them out. So we're going to try that. So I'm just going to break them all off, or attempt to. Now this one, I don't know if there's enough of a head to get a hold of. That one we're going to grind off. I don't want to grind this up too much. Let's gently try to tap this a little bit, see if it'll come loose. It's coming loose. Well, hopefully in a minute we're going to see what's inside a Stewart vacuum fuel feed system. That one I ground, it's coming. There. Oh, there's what's inside it. Oh, that doesn't look good. So maybe we'll be making an inner chamber. And some of you are probably wondering how the heck this thing works. I'm sure this is a float. I think what I'm going to do is take, see, this now, I'll take little nuts and set them over there and weld on them. And then the heat and electricity flowing through may loosen the threads up enough to get them to turn out. But I think what I'm going to do now first is take the top off the other one and see what the inside of that one looks like. First, I'm going to try and get this spark plug wire out from behind it. There. We'll take the fuel line off of it. Well, this actually, let's see. This is actually the vacuum supply line from the intake manifold. Take that off. Now, we're going to tap on all of these. But they'll probably just all twist off like the other ones, which is fine. Look at that. Can't hardly believe it. One came out. Holy cow. And I'll have you know, This tractor sat outside as long as I can. I'm probably its entire life until I put it in my barn about 10 years ago. Who would think those would come out like that? Well, that's 3 so far. I can't hardly believe it. Almost unbelievable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got half of them out. I was speaking a little too soon, I think. We're gonna let that one soak while we go on to the other ones. Unbelievable. Nine out of 10 came out. Now we're going to be real careful with this one. Keep working it. Now we'll turn it back in some. Maybe some of that oil will get down into the threads more. I can't believe my eyes. If you would have told me I was going to get all those out that easy without breaking any off, I would never have believed it. But that kind of ranks up with that engine in the link belt up north, where I started that up. I didn't even have to file the points on it. And like this, here it's loose. We're going to see what it looks like inside this one. Oh. And it, see, that's all rusted to pieces on the bottom. But this one, from the outside, the inner chamber looks perfect. Where this one, that inner chamber's rusted gone. Let's see if we can get this inner chamber separated from the cover. Oh, just like that. Wow. Unbelievable. Oh, it's rusty. I think it will clean up and be solid enough. I can use it just as it is. You can see it. If you look, there's a cross there with a hole in it. That should be a guide for on this float. On this one, that cross is rusted away. I don't know if it's real necessary. Otherwise, I could make a new one and solder it to the bottom. But I think this inner chamber is good. The float looks as though it may be usable. It's cork, and I believe they were there's one layer broke off of it, looks like. I believe they were varnished. I'll attempt that first, just to recoat this with varnish, because you can see it looks like this one is layers of corks that were fastened together, and on this one they've all delaminated. So first, I'm just going to try revarnishing that. And the mechanism isn't stuck. Now, some of you are probably wondering how this system works. What happens is it's in this inner chamber. This sits in the inner chamber, and this chamber sits in the tank. And your intake your intake manifold sucks on this line, and this one goes to the gas tank. So when the engine's running, it's sucking on this line, and this chamber's on there, and it's sucking gas into here, filling this inner tank up. And when it's filling that inner tank up, it will naturally, this valve will close. So it causes suction and not sucking the gas from the outer chamber back into the inner chamber. So that'll close, and your intake vacuum is sucking gas into this inner chamber. When the float gets up high enough, this is a needle that will shut the vacuum off from the engine, so it doesn't continue to suck the gas right into the intake manifold. So when the float goes up, that clicks that direction, over centers, and that valve will go tight, so the engine vacuum quits sucking gas into this inner chamber. So at that point, then the weight of the gas, with no more vacuum in there, the weight of the gas will let this tank drain into the outer chamber. This will open up, and the gas will drain out of the inner chamber into the outer chamber around here. And when it gets down, the flow will go down and pull the valve open again and let engine vacuum into this inner chamber again. And then it'll slowly fill it up. And like that, you see this will hit there. Right now, when the float is down, it's holding this valve open, so the engine vacuum is open, and it slowly fills with gas. It hits that, pushes this needle shut, and then the engine vacuum quits sucking here, so that'll let the gas again drain out of the inner chamber into the outer chamber. And when it's in the outer chamber, then it just gravity feeds to the carburetor. So I think this is all going to work just with some cleaning up, and possibly get away with just revarnishing the float. If not, I could do something like make a brass float, or get a couple possibly get a couple brass floats from some other carburetor and fasten them around this rod somehow. But that's how this works. I'm not quite sure. This little looks like some kind of a valve. It doesn't even seem to close it off. It goes to what would just be a vent line. Oh, there's got to be a valve in the top here that when this goes down and opens the vacuum for the engine, there must be a valve in there that this closes the vent line off, so air can't come in there, so it sucks gas in. And when this comes up and closes the engine vacuum off, then it opens the vent to the outside, so air can go in to allow the gas to go down into the outer chamber, and then from there to the carburetor. So I'm going to take this top off, if I can, and see what there must be some sort of a valve in there that when it moves down, it shuts off the vacuum or the vent to the outside. I don't know if you're following all of this.